Welcome to another deep dive. This time, I'm going to be talking about a really cool gun, the Steyr AUG. You know, the one that always looks like it came from, I don't know, some sci-fi movie. But it's seen a lot of use in conflicts all over the world for decades now, and I have to admit, most of what I know about it is, you know, from video games and movies.
Yeah.
But I did manage to pull together a decent stack of information from Wikipedia, and I'm really excited to learn more about this thing. Luckily, we've got an expert with us today to walk us through all the ins and outs of this really unique rifle.
I'd be happy to shed some light on the AUG. It's definitely a firearm that's captured the imaginations of many, both in the military and civilian worlds.
Okay, so let's just start with the basics. What is the Steyr AUG?
Well, the Steyr AUG stands for Army Universal Goer, meaning Army Universal Rifle. It's an Austrian bullpup assault rifle. Yeah, bullpup, which might sound a bit strange if you're not familiar with, firearms terminology. But essentially, it means that the action and magazine are located behind the trigger, which this allows for a shorter overall length without sacrificing barrel length. So it's kind of like they squeezed all the firepower into a smaller, more compact package.
So that's why it has that kind of futuristic look. Yeah. It's like they shrunk down a regular rifle without losing any of its punch.
Exactly. The AUG was pretty revolutionary for its time. It was developed in the 1960s by Steyr Daimler-Puch in Austria, and it was adopted by the Austrian army in 1977. It's been in continuous production ever since, and it's still in service today in various forms, with militaries and law enforcement agencies around the world.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. So, if it's called the Universal Rifle, why was it called that? What makes it so universally appealing?
Well, a lot of that comes down to its ingenious modular design. You see, the Steyr AUG is like a chameleon. It can be quickly and easily reconfigured into a number of different forms, making it adaptable to a wide range of combat scenarios.
Okay, so walk me through that a little bit. What kind of configurations are we talking about?
Well, obviously the AUG can serve as a standard assault rifle.
Right.
But with just a few quick changes, you can turn it into a carbine for close quarters combat, or even a light machine gun, for suppressive fire. And then there are even some submachine gun variants chambered for pistol calibers. Things like 9mm and .40 S&W.
That's incredible. It's like having a whole arsenal in one gun. No wonder it's been adopted by so many different countries.
Yeah, the adaptability of the AUG is definitely one of its biggest selling points. It can be tailored to meet the specific needs of different militaries, from, urban warfare to jungle combat, you name it.
So speaking of different countries, I know the AUG has had kind of an interesting history here in the U.S. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It definitely has. Yeah, it's got a unique history in the U.S. It first arrived here in the 1980s, but then in 1989, under President George H.W. Bush, it was banned from importation because of concerns about its sporting use, quote unquote.
So got caught up in politics, huh?
Yeah, like many firearms, the AUG has often found itself kind of at this intersection of, technology, politics, and social debates.
So what happened? I mean, was it banned for good at that point?
Not quite. So 6 years later, some cosmetic changes were made, like switching out the pistol grip for a thumbhole stock.
Okay.
And this actually allowed it to be imported again.
So they found a loophole. But didn't the 1994 federal assault weapons ban kind of come in right after that?
Yeah, you're right. That did throw another wrench in the works. It basically prohibited the manufacture of any additional Steyr AUGs or their copies within the U.S.
Right.
However, Steyr found ways to kind of, work around this. They partnered with U.S.-based companies to legally produce parts.
So the AUG had a bit of a roller coaster ride of a time getting into the U.S.
Yeah, definitely. A good example of how even seemingly technical aspects of firearms, can become entangled in these broader political and social currents.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to see that. Okay, so we've talked about its unique look, its adaptability, and its slightly tumultuous history here in the U.S. But I want to kind of get into what makes it tick, the engineering behind this rifle.
Yeah.
So what kind of operating system does the AUG actually use?
Well, the AUG utilizes a gas piston operating system. Now, that might sound a bit complex, but you can kind of imagine it like a tiny internal combustion engine inside the rifle.
Okay.
So when you fire around, some of the hot gas that's created by the burning gunpowder is siphoned off into a separate cylinder.
Gotcha.
And then inside that cylinder is a piston. And that piston is driven back by the gas, and that force is used to cycle the action. Eject the spent cartridge and then load a fresh round. It's a pretty clever system, known for its reliability, especially in adverse conditions.
So this thing is built to function even in, like, harsh environments.
Absolutely. I mean, reliability is paramount for military rifle. And the AUG's gas piston system is designed to handle a wide range of conditions, everything from dusty deserts to humid jungles.
That's impressive. So beyond the gas piston system, what else makes the AUG so unique? I mean, what makes it stand out from an engineering perspective?
Well, for starters, the AUG was one of the first rifles to really make extensive use of polymers and aluminum in its construction.
Oh, okay.
Which, made it significantly lighter than many of its contemporaries, which were mostly made of steel and wood at the time.
So it's kind of a pioneer in lightweight materials.
Yeah, you could say that. And the AUG also featured a revolutionary quick-change barrel system.
Oh, wow.
So this allowed soldiers to swap out barrels of different lengths in a matter of seconds without needing any tools.
Wait, so no tools required?
Nope.
That's incredible. What kind of advantage would that give a soldier in the field?
Well, just imagine you're a soldier and you're engaged in, let's say, urban warfare. You might need a shorter barrel for maneuvering inside buildings.
Right.
But you also want the option of a longer barrel for, greater accuracy at longer ranges. So with the AUG's quick change barrel system, you could adapt to different tactical situations in an instant.
That's a game changer. Yeah, I'm starting to see why this was so revolutionary.
And there's more. The AUG also incorporated another groundbreaking feature, an integrated 1.5x telescopic sight.
Oh, wow.
So this was basically unheard of at the time, as, most rifles relied on traditional iron sights.
Well, they basically built a scope right into the rifle.
Exactly.
Wow.
This gave the AUG, a significant advantage in terms of accuracy and target acquisition, especially at longer ranges.
Now that's forward thinking.
Yeah.
I can't believe they were doing this back in the 1960s.
The AUG's designers were, they were definitely ahead of their time.
Yeah.
They were constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible in firearm design.
So I also noticed that even with all these high-tech features, they still included a bayonet lug, which seems a kind of a contrast to all these high-tech features.
Yes. Even with all the advancements in technology, the AUG's designers, they recognize that sometimes. Close quarters combat was still a reality.
Right.
And a bayonet could be a lifesaver in those situations.
Yeah. A blend of old and new. I'm really getting a sense of how the AUG really was aiming to be a true universal rifle.
That was definitely the goal.
Yeah.
And, they achieved it to a pretty remarkable degree.
Okay, so we've covered some of the basic features that make the AUG unique, but I know there's also a lot of different variants and models out there. Can you give us a quick overview of the main AUG families?
Sure. The most recognizable is probably the AUG A1, which is, that original model with the integrated scope.
Right.
Then came the AUG A2, which introduced a detachable scope mount, allowing for the use of a wider variety of optics. And the most modern version is the AUG A3, which features an extended Picatinny rail system for mounting even more accessories like lasers and lights and things like that.
So it sounds like each iteration kind of built upon the previous one, adding more features and more flexibility.
That's right.
What about specialized variants? You mentioned there were some submachine gun versions and even a light machine gun version.
Yeah, you've got the AUG HBAR, which is essentially a light machine gun variant. It's got a heavier barrel and a bipod for sustained fire.
Gotcha.
And then there's the AUG 9mm and the AUG 40, which are, chambered for 9x19mm parabellum and .40 S&W, respectively.
Okay.
And these are really designed for close quarters combat, and, they offer less recoil and muzzle blast than the rifle caliber AUGs.
It sounds like there's an AUG for just about every situation. It really is a universal system, huh?
It's definitely a versatile platform, and it's kind of interesting to see how Steyr has adapted the AUG to meet the needs of different users and, different combat scenarios over the years.
Okay, so we talked about all the technical stuff, but I also want to know about the AUG's real-world impact. So where has this rifle actually seen action around the globe?
Well, the AUG has a surprisingly wide-reaching presence in global conflicts. It's been used in numerous conflicts, pretty much since its introduction back in the late 1970s. Everything from the Gulf War to the Somali Civil War, even to more recent conflicts like the Syrian Civil War.
So this thing's been in some of the most intense conflicts over the past few decades.
It has, yeah. And its adoption by various special forces units around the world really speaks to its reputation for, reliability and performance under pretty demanding conditions.
Yeah, that's definitely a testament to its capabilities.
Yeah.
Are there any specific instances or any units that stand out in your mind for their use of the AUG? Or, any particular stories or battles where it really played a key role?
Well, one that comes to mind is the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993, where U.S. Army Rangers and Delta Force operators, armed with AUGs, they were heavily engaged in some intense urban combat there. Right.
And, their AUGs proved to be very reliable and effective in that really chaotic and challenging environment.
Before this deep dive, I mostly associated the AUG with video games and puppies.
Yeah.
Not so much with real-world conflicts. But it's clear that this is a rifle that's been tested and proven, in some of the most demanding situations imaginable.
Absolutely. And, it continues to be used and respected by militaries, law enforcement agencies, all around the world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from the AUG's kind of unique look to its adaptable design, its global reach, and its role in some of the most intense conflicts in recent history.
You've only scratched the surface.
I know, and I'm definitely I'm eager to learn more, but I think this is a good place to kind of pause for now.
Sounds good to me. When we return, we'll be taking a closer look at some of the specific design features that make the AUG so unique and effective. So we'll delve into the details of the barrel, the receiver, the stock, and the ammunition feeding system. We'll also explore kind of the fascinating world of AUG clones and variants. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive on the Steyr AUG.
I'm ready to go even deeper. So last time we talked about, the AUG's history, its modularity, its global impact. And now I'm really curious to get into some of the more, nitty-gritty details.
Okay.
The specific design features that make it such a unique and effective rifle.
All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. Where you want to start?
Well, you mentioned that quick change barrel system earlier, and that really kind of caught my attention.
Yeah.
Can you break down exactly how that works?
Sure. The AUG's barrel is attached to the receiver through a simple but robust locking mechanism. So there's a button on the side of the rifle. You press that button, you rotate the barrel a quarter turn, and the barrel just slides right out. And then to install a new barrel, you just reverse the process. It's incredibly quick and easy. And like I said, no tools required.
So a soldier in the field could, literally switch barrels in seconds.
Absolutely. And the AUG was designed with a variety of barrel lengths to choose from. Each one's optimized for different tactical situations.
Like what?
Well, you've got your standard rifle length barrel, which is great for accuracy at longer ranges.
Right.
And then there's the carbine length barrel, which is more compact and maneuverable for close quarters combat. And they even have shorter barrels available for some more specialized roles.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of barrels.
Yeah.
You can configure it for, basically any situation.
You got it.
Yeah.
And the AUG's barrels are also pretty high tech on the inside. They're cold hammer forged. Which is a manufacturing process that creates a very strong and durable barrel, one that's very resistant to wear and tear and can handle a lot of rounds being fired through it.
So it's built to last, huh?
Definitely. And a lot of AUG barrels also feature chrome-lined bores.
Chrome-lined.
Yeah, which adds another layer of protection against corrosion and makes them easier to clean.
So it's like they give the inside of the barrel, I guess, a super tough coating.
Exactly. It helps to prevent rust and fouling, ensuring the barrel stays smooth and accurate for a long time.
Okay, so we've got this clever gas piston system. We've got this quick change barrel system.
Right.
And we've got these high-tech barrels that are built to last.
Yeah.
What else? What about the receiver? You mentioned it's made from a combination of aluminum and polymers.
Yes. The AUG's receiver is another example of its forward-thinking design. It's made from a steel-reinforced aluminum extrusion, which basically combines, lightweight properties with strength and durability.
Ah, a perfect combo.
And it houses all the critical components, things like the bolt, the trigger group, the safety mechanism.
So what's so special about the AUG's bolt and trigger group?
Well, the bolt is designed for smooth and reliable operation, even under adverse conditions. It's guided by these two guide rods that run inside steel bearings within the receiver. So this ensures it moves back and forth consistently during firing.
Ah, so it's very precise.
Precisely. And the AUG's trigger group is another example of its versatility. It can be easily configured for different firing modes.
Okay.
Things like semi-automatic, fully automatic, and even, a 3-round burst mode on some variants.
So, depending on the situation,
Yeah.
you could go from precision shots to suppressive fire, just with a, flick of a switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The AUG gives the operator a lot of flexibility in terms of firepower.
Okay, so we've covered the barrel, we've covered the receiver. Now let's talk about the AUG stock,
Right.
which is, it's one of its most distinctive features. That iconic bullpup design.
Yeah, the AUG stock is definitely a key part of what makes it so unique. It's made from a highly durable polymer, and it's really designed with ergonomics in mind. The pistol grip is positioned for a natural and comfortable grip, and the stock is contoured to fit really snugly against the shooter's shoulder.
So I imagine that makes it, easier to control, especially during automatic fire.
It does, and the AUG stock also incorporates some pretty clever features. For example, there's a cavity under the butt plate that holds a cleaning kit.
Oh, wow. A built-in cleaning kit.
The designers really thought of everything.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. And speaking of design, we can't forget about one of the AUG's most innovative features, the integrated telescopic sight.
Right.
Can you tell me about that?
Ah, yes, the integrated scope. That was standard on the original AUG A1 model. It was a 1.5x magnification scope, meaning it basically magnified the target 1.5 times. So this made it much easier to aim accurately, especially at longer ranges.
And it's built, right into the receiver, right?
Yeah. That's right. It was a very unusual feature for a rifle at that time. Most rifles back then just relied on traditional iron sights.
Yeah.
So it was ahead of its time.
They realized.
The AUG, it was often ahead of the curve in terms of its design and technology.
But what about the later AUG models? Didn't they kind of move away from the integrated scope?
They did, yeah. With the AUG A2 and A3 models, Steyr introduced detachable scope mounts and eventually full-length Picatinny rails,
Okay.
which allow for the use of, a much wider variety of optics.
So you can mount red dot sights,
Yeah.
holographic sights, magnified scopes, basically any optic you can think of.
Exactly. The AUG became, even more modular and adaptable with those later models.
Yeah, it's like they took an already innovative rifle and made it even more versatile.
They certainly did. They were always looking for ways to improve and refine the AUG's design.
So we've talked about the barrel, the receiver, the stock, even the integrated scope. What about the AUG's ammunition feeding system? What kind of magazines does it use?
Well, the AUG uses a detachable box magazine that feeds the ammunition into the rifle.
Yeah, detachable box magazines are pretty standard these days. Anything special about the AUG's magazines?
Well, they're made from a translucent polymer, which allows the shooter to see, how many rounds are remaining.
Oh, so you can instantly tell if you need to reload.
Exactly. That's a great feature.
What about capacity? How many rounds do the magazines hold?
The standard AUG magazines come in 30-round and 42-round capacities,
Okay.
Giving you options, depending on the tactical situation.
Yeah, so you had choices.
Always a good thing with a firearm. And the AUG's magazines are also known for their reliability and durability. They're designed to withstand, rough handling in adverse conditions.
Yeah, they kind of keep up with the rest of the rifle, I guess.
Exactly. Every component of the AUG is designed to be as rugged and dependable as possible.
So we've covered the AUG's gas piston system, its quick change barrel system, its unique receiver and stock, the integrated scope, and the magazines. Is there anything else we need to know about its basic design features?
Well, we could talk about the AUG's firing mechanism.
Okay.
Its safety features and its ability to be configured, for different firing modes.
That sounds like a good place to pick up next time.
Yeah. It's a fascinating aspect of the AUG's design, and it really highlights how much thought and engineering went into making this, a truly adaptable and versatile firearm.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I feel like I'm getting a PhD in Steyr AUGs at this point.
Well, there's always more to learn about this fascinating rifle.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So last time we were just about to get into the AUG's firing mechanism and its safety features. So I'm ready to dive into those details now. Where should we start?
Let's start with the AUG selector lever.
Okay.
So it's located on the left side of the pistol grip, and it's used to choose the firing mode. It's It's a pretty simple and intuitive system.
So remind me again, what firing modes are actually available on the AUG?
Well, you have your standard semi-automatic mode, where the rifle fires one shot each time the trigger is pulled.
Right.
But then there's fully automatic mode, where the rifle continues to fire as long as the trigger is held down.
Right.
And some AUG variants also have a 3-round burst mode, where the rifle fires a quick burst of 3 rounds with a single trigger pull.
So depending on the situation, you can go from, precision shots to suppressive fire.
Yeah.
Just with a flick of a switch.
Exactly. The AUG gives the operator a lot of flexibility in terms of firepower.
And what about safety features? How does the AUG prevent accidental discharges?
Well, the AUG has a cross-bolt safety mechanism. It's located right above the pistol grip.
Okay.
And when the safety is engaged, you'll see a white dot.
Okay.
This means the trigger is mechanically blocked, and the rifle cannot fire.
So it's like a physical barrier that prevents the trigger from being pulled.
That's right. It's a simple but effective system that's pretty common on a lot of firearms. To disengage the safety and make the rifle ready to fire, you just push the safety button to the left, and a red dot will appear, indicating that the rifle is now, live.
Simple and clear. That makes sense. Now, I remember you mentioning something called an automatic lockout, or ALO, earlier.
Yeah.
What is that exactly?
So the ALO is a safety feature that was, it was first introduced on the Irish Defence Forces variant of the AUG.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a small projection at the base of the trigger, and when it's engaged, it prevents the trigger from being pulled past the semi-automatic position.
Yeah.
Even if the selector lever is set to fully automatic.
So it's kind of like a fail-safe to prevent, accidental full auto fire.
Exactly. It adds an extra layer of safety, which can be especially important, in military and law enforcement applications, where accidental full auto fire could have, some pretty serious consequences.
I can see why they'd want that.
Yeah.
So what if you actually do need to fire in fully automatic mode? Can you disengage the ALO?
Yes, you can. You just push it up, and then the trigger can be pulled all the way back for fully automatic fire.
So it's there when you need it, but it can be bypassed if the situation demands it.
It's all about providing options, and control to the operator.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered the firing mechanism, the safety features, and the automatic lockout. What else do we need to know about how the AUG actually fires and functions?
Well, we could get into, the real nitty-gritty details of how the gas piston system interacts with the bolt and the bolt carrier group to cycle the action. But, that might get a little technical.
Maybe we'll save that for another deep dive. But I am curious about one thing. You mentioned earlier that the standard AUG fires from a closed bolt.
Right.
But the AUG HBIR, the light machine gun variant, fires from an open bolt.
That's right.
So can you explain what that means and why there's a difference there?
Sure. So remember how we talked about the gas piston system and how it uses gas from the fired cartridge to cycle the action?
Yeah.
Well, in a closed bolt system, like the one used in the standard AUG.
Okay.
The bolt is closed and locked before the trigger is pulled. So when you fire, the gas pressure pushes the piston back, which then cycles the action, ejects the spent cartridge, loads a fresh round. It all happens very quickly.
So the bolt is, it's already in place, I guess, when the round fires.
Yeah.
It just helps with accuracy.
Exactly. It ensures that the cartridge is properly seated in the chamber before it's fired.
Okay.
But with an open bolt system, like the one used in the AUG HBIR,
right,
the bolt is actually held open until the trigger is pulled. So when the trigger is pulled, the bolt slams forward, strips around from the magazine, chambers it, and fires it.
So the firing cycle basically starts with the bolt slamming forward.
Yep.
Why would they do that? I mean, doesn't that affect the accuracy?
Well, open bolt systems are often used in machine guns because they help to prevent a phenomenon called cook-off.
Cook-off.
Yeah. Cook-off is when a round in a hot chamber, spontaneously ignites due to heat buildup.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Machine guns can get, pretty hot during sustained fire.
Exactly. And with an open bolt system, the chamber is open to the air between shots.
Right.
Which helps to dissipate heat and prevent cook-offs.
So it's it's kind of a safety feature as much as anything else?
You could say that,
Oh.
yeah. It's all about balancing performance with reliability and safety.
Man, this has been an amazing journey. I feel like I've gone from knowing almost nothing about the AUG to, being able to hold my own in a conversation about its design and its history.
Well, you've been a quick study.
What's really fascinating to me is how the AUG's, its modularity and its forward-thinking design really continue to influence firearm development, even today. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing new and innovative AUG variants emerging, for many years to come.
I agree. The AUG's legacy of innovation is likely to continue for quite some time.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.